Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being well-informed. We take those really intriguing, sometimes baffling sources, and we try to make sense of them for you.
And today, we've got a real heavyweight.
We certainly do. We're diving into the latest work by the legendary Professor Alistair Finchley-Smythe III.
Ah, yes, Finchley-Smythe, known for being, well, let's say unique.
Exactly. His work, it often leaves you sort of scratching your head, but also, weirdly, chuckling. It's dense, sure, but there are these surprising little sparks in there.
That's a good way to put it.
So his latest paper, get ready for this title, Treatise on the Perplexing Interdigitation of Linguistic Neoterisms and Ontological Flux, an exercise in liminal semantics.
It's quite a mouthful, isn't it? And even the title needs unpacking.
Right. But that's our mission today. We're not just going to try and decode the paper itself, his new words and ideas. We're also digging into the fascinating buzz around it.
All the different ways people are reacting and interpreting it.
Yeah, exactly. Because this isn't just about complex ideas. It's about how we grapple with them, how we make sense of things, even when they seem, well, completely nonsensical at first glance.
And that sense-making process is really core to what Finchley-Smythe himself is exploring in a way.
So maybe start us off. What's the absolute core idea behind that very long title?
Okay, well, stripped down, perplexing interdigitation just means how things fit together complexly, like fingers interlocking, linguistic neoterisms. That's just a fancy term for new words.
Neologisms, basically.
Precisely. And ontological flux is about how reality itself is constantly changing. Liminal semantics looks at meaning in those fuzzy, in-between spaces.
So he's looking at how new words help us grasp a changing reality, especially the weird bits in between.
That's the gist. He argues our current language often just isn't enough. It can't quite capture all the complex new stuff happening, the sort of multifaceted aspects of existence that we're only just beginning to notice.
So any new tools, new words?
Exactly. These neoterisms, as he calls them, are his attempts to create those tools, to articulate things we haven't really had words for before. Pushing the boundaries, you know?
Okay, let's unpack this, because he doesn't just suggest a new word. He unleashes a whole barrage, and this is where, honestly, it gets both challenging and kind of fun.
He certainly doesn't hold back.
He says he pugnaliciously perfidilucidates his superflupedient neoterisms, which, wow.
Right. Let's break that down. Pugnaliciously suggests, sort of aggressively, maybe contentiously. Perfidilucidate implies clarifying, but perhaps deceptively so. And superflupedient seems to mean excessively useful, almost paradoxically so.
So he's forcefully, maybe sneakily, explaining his overwhelmingly useful new words.
Something like that. It sets the tone, doesn't it? Let's dive into a few key examples. They sound intimidating, but they often point to something quite specific.
Geez, dude, let's start with that first one he used about himself. Pugnalicious.
Right. Pugnalicious. Think of someone who's charming on the surface, really alluring, but underneath, they're actually quite aggressive or deceitful.
Like a wolf in sheep's clothing, that kind of vibe.
Exactly that vibe. He talks about it in, say, complex negotiations where someone seems incredibly friendly, but it's all a front for a hidden, maybe harmful agenda. That surface charm hiding a perfidious intent.
Okay, I can picture that. We've probably all met someone a bit pugnalicious. What about when things just get confusing? Not necessarily deceptive, just muddled.
Ah, well, that brings us neatly to obnubilemeris. This is a fascinating one. It describes a state where someone, maybe completely unintentionally, just makes everyone around them confused.
How does that work?
Their mere presence seems to trigger this sort of fog. Conversations become circuitous, unclear. He calls them a catalyst for a perplexing exchange. It's not malice, just an effect they have. He even makes an analogy to quantum entanglement, oddly enough.
A walking fog machine for conversations? I think I know a few obnubilemeris people. It's like he's naming these very specific, almost uncomfortable social dynamics we all recognize but can't quite label.
That seems to be a big part of his project, giving names to the unnameable nuances of experience. And it goes beyond just social stuff. Take multivicientia.
Okay, what's that?
This one's about perception. It's this idea of an expansive, almost preternatural awareness of multiple possible futures, seeing all the potential paths branching out, not just simple cause and effect.
So like supercharged foresight, seeing all the timelines.
Pretty much. He suggests if we could actually do this, it would completely change how we think about fate, free will, everything. It hints at this vast and branching tapestry of temporal possibilities.
Wow. Okay, so we have Deceptive charm, unintentional confusion, seeing all possible futures. What do these tell us about the gaps he sees in our language?
Well, it seems he thinks our language often forces us into simple boxes. Good, bad, clear, confused. He's trying to create words for the messy bits, the contradictions, the in-between states that don't fit neatly. He wants more nuance.
Makes sense. And you mentioned there are loads more.
Oh, absolutely. The paper ends with this long list. Pugnalucent, insusumagog, agregorious, plethorescent, obnubilicious, dyspepsia circuitous. I won't read them all.
Please don't.
But he says they're further exemplars of the fecundity of linguistic recombination. Basically, more proof that language can keep generating new forms to help us try and grasp reality.
The sheer commitment is something else. But here's where, for me, it gets really fascinating. What happens when these incredibly complex, maybe ambiguous ideas get out into the wild?
Right. Because they don't just stay in academic papers.
Yeah.
And Finchley Smythe's work, maybe because it is so dense and provocative, it generates strong reactions. Very little middle ground.
So people either love it or hate it, or wildly misunderstand it.
All of the above. We see serious academic debate, very personal connections, and some interpretations that are, well, let's just say creative. The paper itself becomes this Rorschach test.
Okay, let's hear about the academics first, the serious critiques.
Well, you've got people like Dr. Martin P. Fickler, writing in the Journal of Unsolicited Epistemology.
Oh.
Love that title.
Yeah.
Fickler calls the paper a dense and bewildering journey. He acknowledges the intricate structure and the sheer audaciousness, but also says it's less like a scholarly work and more like a fever dream expressed through a thesaurus.
So impressed but baffled. Kind of sums up the general feeling, maybe.
Perhaps for some. But then you get the really sharp critiques. Penny Harpingspin from the Council for Cancelled Counterculture. She does not hold back.
Uh-oh.
She calls it academic self-indulgence at its most egregious. She thinks terms like exculpangent, which is about feeling a sort of listless relief from blame, are just verbal acrobatics hiding a lack of substance.
Ouch. Intellectual quicksand, she calls it.
A house of cards built on intellectual quicksand and a circuitous maze of superfluous jargon.
Yes. For her, the complexity is purely a smokescreen. No meaning underneath.
Okay, so strong opposition there. Anyone defending it on the academic side?
Yes, there's Feather Weather from the Academy of Preternatural Syntactics. She sees it completely different. For her, it's an extraordinary intellectual exercise.
How so? She argues it's not a destination, but a journey. The value isn't in finding simple answers, but in wrestling with the text itself. She says the dense contradictions and deliberate ambiguity demand a new kind of literacy that values the process of thinking over easy conclusions.
That's interesting, valuing the struggle itself. Maybe Finchley Smythe wants it to be ambiguous.
That's certainly Weather's take, but then you move outside academia and the interpretations get even more personal.
Like how people applying these terms to their everyday lives.
Exactly. It's quite amazing. Take Prolixium Prime on a gardening forum. They connected pletoescent, meaning budding abundance, to their tomato plants.
Seriously, tomatoes?
Yes. They said it made them feel part of this larger, incredibly complex linguistic universe. Found it genuinely inspiring. It shows how people find resonance in unexpected ways.
That's kind of wonderful, actually. Any others like that?
Oh, yes. Logger Lover on a baking subreddit compared insusumagog, a careless, influential talker, to their sourdough starter.
Their sourdough starter?
Yeah. Because it just keeps bubbling and growing without any real intervention.
Yeah.
They saw the paper's beautiful, convoluted maze as reflecting the real cutting edge of human thought. Found deep meaning while kneading dough, apparently.
Okay, sourdough starters and knitting patterns.
Yeah.
It seems people are determined to connect with this stuff, even if it's abstract. But you mentioned even more creative takes.
Ah, yes. This leads us to the gossip columns. Brenda Buttercup at Tittle Tattle today.
Oh, dear. Where's she going with this?
She has a theory. She thinks the whole paper is actually coded commentary on celebrity scandals.
You're kidding. How?
Well, she suggests pugnalicious behavior refers to a legal fight between a fashion designer, Pilar Plume, and her ex-husband over vintage clothes. And the ex is apparently prone to captious paroxysm, fussy fits.
She's mapping these incredibly specific academic terms onto celebrity divorce gossip.
Precisely. And she claims intermedigarchy, that term for chaotic tyranny, is really about the pop star Serafina Sparkle's difficult management style causing chaos at her record label.
This is quite a leap. Does she connect it to Serafina's reversible bow ties, too?
Funnily enough, she does mention the bow ties, though quite how they fit the theory isn't clear. It's just a prime example of taking something complex and applying it in a completely unexpected, maybe even absurd context.
So what on earth do we make of all this? We go from deep academic analysis to tomatoes, sourdough, knitting, and now celebrity gossip via coded messages.
Quite the spectrum, isn't it?
It really shows how ambiguity works, I guess. The less clear-cut something is, the more room there is for people to project their own meanings onto it. Whether the author intended it or not, it's less about the text and more about the reader.
Absolutely. And that's what's so insightful, I think. The paper itself and the reactions to it demonstrate precisely how we all grapple with complex information. It echoes Finchley Smythe's own point, actually.
How so?
He writes near the end something like, "The continued exploration of such neoterisms remains a crucial imperative. The very act of naming serves as the vital step in the cognitive apprehension of previously uncatalogued phenomena."
So just trying to name these weird, complex things is valuable in itself, even if the names are unconventional.
That seems to be his argument. And this whole deep dive shows that knowledge isn't just about abstract understanding. It becomes valuable when we connect with it, apply it, even if those applications seem wildly different from academic theory to gardening tips.
Even if they conflict.
Even then, the multiple perspectives, the disagreements, the weird connections, they all enrich our understanding in different ways. They show the many facets of how we try to make sense of a complicated world.
Wow, what a trip. From these dense, dizzying words to, well, everything we've just discussed, it really hammers home the value of tackling challenging stuff, doesn't it? Not just for the answers, but for how it stretches your thinking.
It certainly does. And it leaves us, and you listening, with a really interesting question, I think.
Which is?
When you encounter something complex and multi-layered like this, how do you decide which interpretation matters most? Are you looking for the clearest, most definitive explanation?
Do you embrace the confusion?
Exactly. Do you embrace that bewildering journey, finding your own meaning in the connections you make, even if they're a bit unorthodox, like connecting it to sourdough or, dare I say, celebrity fashion?
A great question to ponder. Think about your own deep dives, how you make sense of things. Thanks for joining us on this rather perplexing adventure.
Indeed. Until next time.